and welcome to the 49ers First and 10 podcast. 10 minutes of the most up-to-date 49ers news first thing in the morning. I'm your host, Brianna McDonald, and I'm joined by 49ers team reporter, Lindsay Polares. The team has wrapped up their second stretch of 3-day practices and will be taking this day as a player off day before getting back out on the field tomorrow. And before we dive into all the training camp details, we have a couple roster updates for you. Just before practice started yesterday on Tuesday, the 49ers announced the signing of defensive lineman Taco Charlton. He was a first-round draft pick by the Dallas Cowboys in 2017 and most recently played for the Chicago Bears during the 2022 season. In order to make room for him on the roster, the team also waived safety Avery Young. All right, now, General Manager John Lynch addressed the media before the first padded practice on Monday, and a couple things that stuck out to me from his press conference were his thoughts of his second-year players. And we hear it from the coaching staff all the time that they see the biggest jump in development when players reach their second year with the team. Let's start with wide receiver Danny Gray. What did the general manager have to say about his game, and what have you seen from him at practice?
Yeah, so Danny Gray is a wide receiver that this team has been incredibly excited about from the get-go because you'd be hard pressed to find a wide receiver on this roster that is faster than him. He just is lightning speed, but they wanted to see him develop in the Kyle Shanahan system so that it's not just all go balls where he's flashing his skills down the field. Danny Gray has really shown up to this offseason programming and not only worked on his fitness, but his route running, his attention to detail, his timing, all the things that really help a wideout thrive in the Kyle Shanahan system. And that's what they wanted to see from him. And he's got a great willingness to pick up blocks, which is also a really important thing for all the wide receivers on this roster. And that was something that General Manager John Lynch definitely called attention to. He is coming along the way they had hoped and developing that jump in year two. We're seeing it happen. So we'll see how that materializes into his touches for 2023, but he is setting himself up for success. And that's all that they wanted to see.
Yeah, and one of the most productive running backs I've seen at practice, Ty Davis Price, he's been making the most of his reps. What did John Lynch think about his first week of camp?
Yeah, so Ty Davis Price is another guy that has come into training camp ready to work. And I think that was really demonstrated by a little anecdote that the general manager shared. And it was that he showed up at 5 a.m. and happened to run into Ty Davis Price at the facility. He wasn't really sure what he was doing that early in the day, but I think he was probably here to work on either his fitness or run through plays. I can only imagine. But if you're showing up at 5 a.m., it means you're ready to work. And I think that is, again, just a positive sign for Ty Davis Price. And you're seeing him get a lot more touches, like you mentioned, in training camp. You've seen him run with the ones on occasion, lots of reps with the second team and third team offense. So he's logging the very important live action reps with his team. And I think that's a good sign. He was someone who didn't get the most touches in 2022, but again, benefiting a lot also from Christian McCaffrey taking a veteran rest day. So he's making the most of the opportunities that he is getting, and the team is impressed with that.
Yeah, the development of those guys just fortifies the depth of the team wide receiver and running back groups. I'm excited to see what they do this year. But yesterday, we got to hear from special teams coordinator Brian Schneider for the first time of this year's camp. And we've got some new kickers joining our squad of specialists, one being a rookie, one being a 5-year league vet. What did he have to say about Jake Moody and Zane Gonzalez?
Yeah, so first things first, it is very much a kicker competition here at camp, and we've seen some really good kicks from both players. Yesterday was a heavy kicking day for the rookie out of Michigan, Jake Moody, and he was very impressive. He went 5 of 6 in Tuesday's practice, the second padded practice for the 49ers. And I think what was his kick of the day, if I had to label one, was a 60-yarder that he had to close out practice. And Brian Schneider actually confirmed the yardage of that kick because we knew it was above 50, we knew it was above 55, but it actually hit the 60-yard mark. I also saw one go straight over the fence. So just showing a lot of consistency early, and that's a very, very positive sign for your kicker. And obviously, plenty more practices to come. But it's good to see that he's booting it early.
Yeah, the special teams group is a fun group to watch over this off season. But one thing that we kept our eye on once the pads came on Monday was that we're going to look closer in the trenches between the offensive and defensive line in those one-on-one matchups. But one player in particular whose journey is really sticking out this offseason is right tackle Colton McKivitz. He's stepping into that new position on the offensive line. What did he have to say about his journey?
Anyone knows the Colton McKivitz story, and it's okay if you don't, because I'll go through it right now. But his career path has been anything but a straight line. He was a fifth round pick in 2020 and was actually released ahead of the 2021 season. Found his way to the practice squad, had some really meaningful fill in games during that 2021 season for left tackle Trent Williams. Then 2022 made the 53-man roster and now finds himself at a starting right tackle position. So it's been quite a journey for this player. And he mentioned how grateful he is for having to work for the position that he is in today. It's showed him how to bounce back and, have a short memory. And that's something that offensive linemen really need, because he mentioned this, you don't want one bad play to turn into a bad game. And that's just been an incredible example of his career journey. You fall down, you get back up, and you come back stronger. I think one thing that was really important to note about Colton McKivitz's journey as well is that he mentioned that relationship with All-Pro left tackle Trent Williams and how he's leaning on him and the rest of the veterans just to make sure that he is ready to assume that starting right tackle position in time for the 2023 season.
Yeah, and the offensive line, things are looking up for him this season because last season it's pretty much the same group that's carried over, and Colton McKivitz is going to be joining that group. But what do his teammates have to say about his game and what they're excited to see from him?
I think they're just excited to see him get a well-deserved position. That was something that Trent Williams said in a couple of his press conferences, just watching from the outside looking in. And obviously Trent Williams has been offering his encouragement and just any advice that he could along the way. Just seeing how Colton McKivitz responded to the adversity is a really great sign. And he said he's worked for it. He absolutely deserves it. He's endorsed Colton McKivitz throughout the offseason. And now it's just time to put it to work. He's logging a lot of really important training camp reps. And obviously it's very helpful to be a new starting right tackle and going up against the league's reigning number one overall defense and also a revamped defensive line. So when you talk about meaningful reps, these are meaningful reps for Colton McKivitz.
Nice. And another thing, you'll never know who you'll spot at the 49ers training camp practices because the 6-time NBA champion and 6-time MVP Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was at the 49ers practice on Tuesday. Why was he there, and what were the 49ers excited to see from him?
Yes, so Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was one of the many special guests that you'll see around the facility. And I think he probably drew the biggest excitement out of the team that I've seen so far, or at least from what I've witnessed. But yeah, he was there actually to address the team and give him a little bit of a hype up speech. I'm not sure that he even planned for that, but I think when you are in the presence of an NBA great like that, it just kind of comes off as inspirational, whether you like it or not. And it was great to actually just sort of stand in the background of that and watch it all play out. You could tell the players were super stoked to have him there. And then a lot of them actually jumped in for pictures. Obviously, this is a very special moment just for any athlete to acknowledge greatness like that. And I think he just offered some words of encouragement that are very welcomed after a long practice in the hot sun.
Yeah, Faithful, listen in as he broke down the team's huddle.
That's always a warning, because when people favor you, you kind of like relax. You got to put in the work that you've been doing the whole time, and that's the reason that they drafted you and got you here. So I just want to tell you that talent is a wonderful thing, but you got to put the hard work in to get the fruit from it. So do that, and I'll get some really good seats for the Super Bowl, and hopefully you guys will be on top. That's all I got to say.
That will do it for today. Be sure to look out for all of the 49ers training camp content on 49ers.com. Thank you so much, Lindsay, for joining me in this training camp update. Don't forget to follow First and 10 on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to turn on the notifications so you're in the know when we post any breaking news updates. And thank you, Faithful, for tuning in.